All right, guys, how's it going? Just going to let a few people connect to audio here. Pretty cozy one today. We only got 12 people lined up, which is used to having like 20 in the waiting room. But that's all right. Guys, 5th of April, coaching call. I hope you're all well. I know for a fact we've got, I think, 4 or 5 people joining us for the first time today. So welcome, guys, to the coaching calls. We run these in a pretty straightforward way. Basically, you can type out any questions you've got, pop them in the chat, and then either Bo or I, depending who's running the call, will just basically work through those questions and answer them sort of turn by turn. I know for those of you joining us for the first time, you probably haven't had length of time to go through the program, so you might not have loads of questions. However, it's obviously you can ask anything you want, anything related to outreach, sales, mindset, business, pick my brain. We're here for 2 hours basically. So I can see a couple of questions lining up in the chat, so let's just jump straight in and kick things off. So Hussein says, how often should we update Loom metrics? Basically every day. So you want to make a note of your positive replies, appointment booked, and Loom views every single day. If you miss a day, then it starts to get a bit chaotic, attribution starts to get a bit annoying, and the more days you miss, the more likely you are to procrastinate. So basically update them every single day. In the Loom module, we've got a metric tracking sheet, and we do track it day by day. It allows us to attribute different variables to different outcomes with more accuracy. So that's that, mate. But does that answer your question, Hussein? I don't know if you had like a different sort of...
Yeah, makes sense. There's two spreadsheets. So there's the CRM one and there's the other one. When you say daily, do you mean both or just the CRM one?
So the metric tracking sheet is the one that you'd be using. Well, you'd be using both of them daily, probably. So the CRM one's obviously where you're going to be keeping all of your prospects. But the metric tracking sheet itself, with like the days and the data, and that keeps a log of everything, that should be updated daily, basically. Like if you come to us in like a couple of weeks, you're like, hey guys, here's my Loom, what do you think? But like we've only got like staggered data, it's really hard to make accurate decisions. So just keep a log of it every day. It's a pain in the ass, but I promise it'll make you more money than anything.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Legend. Sarah says, lead sourcing Instagram. How do you go to the spreadsheet and contact info? Like researching single names later. What do you refer? I'm assuming those are separate questions, Sarah. What do you?
Yeah, sorry for the bad phrasing. I was just noting down, but that was basically when I was hearing the videos, and I was, you basically have to create the new account from scratch with no photo, no nothing, and basically go into the suggested to have new lead sourcing or in the prospecting phase. And my question was then, how do you get the info from there? Always using snowview.io, like how do you connect that research of the guy with the email, phone number, and the tools?
Yeah, okay. So like, I don't know if you can actually use Snov.io on Instagram. I don't know if you can or not. The best thing to do basically, so are you sourcing the personal accounts of the owners or the company accounts?
That's the thing. Since I'm like right now in real estate niche, I don't know even if it makes sense for me having a look at IG.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't really source through. What's your niche? Real estate, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's far better ways to source leads. Use LinkedIn, it'll be so much faster.
Yeah. So D7 also or not?
Yeah, D7. Just like in the starting phase, you just want your lead sourcing to be as quick and efficient as possible.
Yeah.
As you progress, then you can start to worry more about the quality. But when you're still starting, just the first thing is just getting looms out no matter what. And even if it means that 50% of your calls are shit quality, you're still getting calls that are good quality. So you can tweak it as you go. But I wouldn't even complicate it with Instagram for now.
Okay.
And second question, what do you refer to as Loom call to action for getting the calendar link? So I'm assuming you read that in the Facebook community group.
I don't even recall anymore because I'm going through the whole course. I'm listening more of your voice during the day than anything else.
It's okay. So what I mean by this is when you finish recording your Loom, you can click this button here that says call to action. And then what you can do is you can put a button link URL. So for example, I could go to our discovery call link and then pop it in here. And then I could just basically be like, like Iris.
Okay.
And then what happens here is if you save that, then when the person starts playing the loom, it will be here in the top right. And it's just like, it just makes that more available. And then sometimes you'll get bookings without people even replying. And then you can say at the end of your looms, like, hey, there's a fancy button you can click, it will take you to my scheduler. But if you'd rather do it old school, just message me. So that's what I mean by that.
Oh, cool. I wasn't even aware of that. So many thanks for the clarification.
No worries. Third question. So if I should use another G Suite as a warm account, yeah. So basically you want to set 2 separate email accounts, one for your business and one for your clients and all your logins, and then another for warm replies. Don't mix and match. It's like oil and water. You don't want to do that.
So wait, I should kind of buy a new G Suite, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay, and the domain should be related to the first one that I never touched, so it doesn't go down.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be. You can forward the domain on to your main website, but it could be anything. You could just put an extra hyphen in there or something.
Okay, so because at the beginning, just to start sending, also in order, since I was warming up the cold accounts, and in order to prepare them, it kind of says, okay, don't just wait for them to warm up, just use another user. So this is why from my G Suite, I created another user and was trying to use that as cold one. Is it correct?
You can do that for the short term, but long term, no. So if you're doing like 10, 20 emails a day for like a couple of weeks, that's fine, but I wouldn't do it for any longer than that.
Okay, perfect.
Cool.
Cool.
Nice one. Lana says, has anyone done DR or Google review campaigns for their clients? Yeah, Lana, we've done that for, I see you added some context. I added the Google reviews and DR campaigns thing in my email copy, but I haven't tested it yet on any client. Should I remove it until I test it, or it's okay, even though I've never tried it? I receive a lot of replies on that. So why have you added the service, Lana? Why have you added this on?
Because it seems pretty legit, because clients are getting instant results because of these Google reviews and everything, but I haven't tried that before, but I receive a lot of replies since I added in my copy. So I'm not sure if I should like use it or first test it, because
Well, what do the metrics tell you since you've added it into your copy?
For example, I added this yesterday in my copy, and today I received 5 replies, like pretty positive replies. They are really willing to book a call and everything. Okay. So I think it's because of that. I don't know. Maybe
it's promising, but it's not a reliable enough amount of data for us to make a business decision like a service change on. So my suggestion would be to run the rule of 200 and just see how many extra meetings you get. Just like by all means leave it in there, because we don't want to make a change and then the next day we get loads of replies and then we think it's attributed to that change. Like it might not be that. So I would just send 200 looms. The other thing is obviously adding another service adds a layer of operational complexity to the company. So there is going to be downsides to doing that. But if you think it's viable, it adds value, and you think you can sell it without it taking too much of your time extra and splitting your focus, then by all means give it a go. But just see how it impacts the metrics. Just send 200, do the follow-ups, and then see what the difference is.
Yeah, because those are pretty simple campaigns and they are basically free. It's not that you're risking yourself or clients' money. So that is why I added this to my service.
Yeah, see how it goes. Do some testing.
Cool, thanks.
No worries. Jaden says best way to record Loom metrics when overlapping months. Jaden, could you give some context for me there, mate?
Yeah, sure, Charles. So basically, when you are recording the Loom metrics, let's say you have it for April and then you have it for May, if you go over using the same script and the same copy, sometimes it's there's a very, like, I know how to fix this, but I'm just asking if you have a better way of recording them when you're going over the month into the next month.
Why is it a problem?
It's not a problem. It's just I'm wondering if you have an easier way to. Can I share my screen quick so I can show you?
Of course, man.
Sure. Let me just show you quick.
Yeah, you should be able to share now.
Okay, cool. Can you see me now?
Yeah, I got you, man.
So, for example, right, March. So, what is going on here? Okay, so for April, right, it's April now, but
Yeah.
now I was using the same script from the 23rd. So I changed my script on the 23rd of May. Okay, sorry, of March.
Okay.
So now I'm just wondering for the new one, right?
Oh,
I
I
want to keep
understand.
it.
Okay.
Do you see
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying. I mean, it's one of those things where like you just have to maybe open another spreadsheet and then copy and paste the data
Yeah.
in. Like,
Okay.
I mean, the problem with months is that like numbers don't really respect months. But
Yes.
this is why I say to people like, hey, do 200 looms and get back to us, not like send for 2 weeks and get back to us, because then you've got this overlap. But yeah, mate, I haven't critically thought through a solution for that because it's not a huge problem. You just like take the last 200 you've sent, you tally it up, and then you could even you could duplicate the sheet, copy and paste it in, and delete the sheet after you've got your data.
Okay, cool. Just checking if you had anything or whatever.
Yeah, no, it's all good, man.
Sure. Thanks.
No worries. Dean says, do you do Terminator voice notes on LinkedIn as well? I don't think it's actually possible to do automated voice notes on LinkedIn. I may stand corrected there. Well, so yeah, basically at the moment, I actually use selfie videos, and I've got an appointment setter on my LinkedIn account who sends a evergreen selfie video. However, it looks personal. So when I start it, I'm like, hey, how's it going? Thank you so much for connecting. And I just don't say their name. You can automate, like you can have an evergreen video for LinkedIn, for Instagram, for Facebook outreach. However, I wouldn't recommend it until you have more important things to do than outreach. So the only reason like I gave it to a setter and I evergreened it is because I haven't got the time to do it anymore. I've got more important things to focus on. So I use it, but only because I'm past the point of needing to do it personally. We did see a drop in appointment booking rate by probably about 3 to 4%. It was initially probably around like 10 to 12%, and then it dropped to around 8. So you will see a drop off in metrics, but you sacrifice, the odd appointment for your extra time elsewhere. So yeah. So Nicholas says, is it best to start off with the main Loom strategy and then transition to Terminator Looms? No, transition to Terminator Looms immediately. I always say the reason we transition to Terminator Looms immediately is because when you're testing like the effectiveness of your script and your pitch, like there's no human variable to it. So if you record a Loom and you're in a bad mood or you're tired, then that Loom won't be recorded as well as if you're in a good mood. So when we go back to observe your metrics and your Loom, like the quality of your Loom and how it's performed, we've got this human variable of your emotions. So what we want to try and do is eliminate those emotions, because also if you keep saying the same thing, it's only natural that you stop the enthusiastic way of doing it. So just jump straight to Terminator Looms for that reason. And they get basically, like, you might find that by using Terminators, your appointment booking rate drops a little bit, but you sacrifice, it's the same sacrifice, but you just stay sane, basically. Andrew says, do we always, oh, by the way, anyone with any questions, just pop them in the chat. If you just type them out and copy and paste them in, anything you want, mindset, outreach, don't leave me hanging, it's all good. Andrew says, do we redirect clients' websites after Facebook lead form ads? And are pixels going to be involved in that case? Well, it depends on what the client wants, Andrew, entirely. So when I used to work with online personal trainers, like what we wanted to do is make sure the appointment had confidence and would show up. So after a lead form ad, what we would do is we would basically, we would send them to a landing page that basically said, like, it gave them the option to book an appointment or like enter their phone number to receive an automatic text. But then what we had is on there, we just had loads of social proof. We had a video of the trainer saying, hey, you're a lead, this is amazing. Or you wouldn't call them a lead, but you'd say like, hey, we just received your application. You're on this page because you've done this, you're taking this step. This is me, this is what we do. Scroll down, you'll see some results, and we'll send you a text to book a call, or we'll call you, whatever. just ask, like, I mean, I wouldn't say just ask the client, because you don't want to put that on the client, but I would build like a little page that basically gives confidence to the person who's booked. Because it's not people will click it, but it's still good to have.
Yeah, so most of my clients will probably have a pretty decent website with social proof and everything, and that's probably where they can like ask for a quote from the customer, I guess. So
Wait, remind me of your niche again.
Remodeling, home remodeling and renovation. So
yeah, you can just say to the client, like, if you want me to send to your website, and then if you think that's the best thing to do, then by all means. But if they've got a shit website, it might be good to have a backup to get a quote, basically.
Okay, so I guess I can make like a small little template for those clients that do not really have a good website.
I would honestly recommend taking responsibility for that and building a template you use for every client, because then it becomes predictable, basically. Like it's like you're not, because every client then might get different results because they've got a different website. Like, you want to sort of take a look at like thank you pages, figure out what makes them really effective, and then just build one that you use for all your clients, because otherwise it's just like you can't really, like, one client might get great results and then another might, and then they're like, oh, I've got this great website, we haven't. So I would just use the same thing for everyone, because it allows you to measure the effectiveness of the same thing, basically.
Okay. Yeah. So when people book right away, let's say like an appointment, then what would happen to the lead nurture process? Would that just be canceled automatically? Would we be setting this up and go high level? So let's say they book right away, then we take them out of the
so what you would do is you'd basically set up a automation in high level, because like when they fill out the lead form, they're added to high level. I would honestly recommend the best thing to do is actually send them a text instead of sending them a calendar link to book, because when you think about it, like, normal humans, like people that aren't in business, they don't use calendar links. No normal person that you come across, just an average civilian, has ever seen a calendar link or a calendar link or a Acuity scheduling link in their life. So like, if they might use it and they might schedule with it, but they don't use Google Calendar to the same degree we do. Like, what makes more sense from their perspective and what will actually hold them accountable to booking the appointment is like the business texting them and saying, hey, we've got this time for you. You want to grab it? We've got a bunch of quotes to do, but I can get you in tomorrow at 3 p.m. if you'd like. And then, like, because that's how people actually are used to, receiving. You've got to think from the person's perspective. So that's how I would do it. Just send them, just add them to high level and then add them to a text nurturing campaign. Maybe voicemail drops as well.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
That's all, man. Okay, Simone says, hi all, question about Terminator looms. The looms you guys sent our agency actually get me to book a call, had loads of testimonial social proof, while the module on Terminator looms is just hovering over the website. When did you guys add additional slides to see it? And did you see a bump in book calls? I'm assuming so, but I know you've tested everything, so I thought I'd ask before trying to create something on a similar scale. Yeah, so we make the transition, Simone, from like just a standard pitch to social, like pitching and then with social proof as well. We did notice like the metrics kind of just stayed the same, to be honest. We didn't see a huge spike, to be honest. But what we did find is that people who joined the calls were a lot more receptive to what we had to say, because they'd already seen results and they were quite familiar with the results. So like, we didn't see a huge spike in calls, but we saw a big spike in trust on calls, which in turn boosts the conversion rate. For anyone wondering what I'm talking about here, we basically have a new way of doing looms where it's still a Terminator loom, but we give a VA a series of slides. In fact, I may have these slides on my laptop. I don't think I do. Hang on. Well, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. It's just basically like case studies. It's just like, here's Luca, he added this, here's Kiwani, she added this. So yeah, you can model it out. You can do it like that, and it will work.
So it's a more educated like prospect on a call. They're coming in. Yeah.
It's very subtle, but it'll be like when you say to someone like, what motivated you to book the call? It's like, well, I loved your approach, but then I also saw you had like a bunch of results and I thought that was cool. So it just positions you in maybe like a 10-20% better way, right? It's not going to completely change everything, but it will contribute a little bit.
Sounds good.
Sorry to interrupt. Whereabouts was that? on the course?
It's not in there yet, mate. So I'm redoing Loom Alchemy probably around May because we're still testing it. So we've been doing that for the best part of 6 to 8 weeks now. And we're seeing sort of similar metrics. So we're not sure if, like, we don't really want to add something if it doesn't work better. We have noticed an increase in sales conversion rate, but probably by May, we will have concluded whether or not it's better. So it'll be updated and added to the course then.
I'm sure it adds time and how long it takes you to make a loom.
It does add operational complexity as well, because then there's more mistakes to be made. So like the virtual assistant has to open the slides and then click through the slides at the exact time at which you're saying the thing. But it can contribute. So we're testing it, and when we know it's actually the right thing to do, then everybody else will receive it in the course. Yeah, and also guys, like when with the Loom scripts and stuff, like if you think like that your niche or your market might be receptive to you including a few case studies in your Looms, just add them in. Like you don't have to take what we say for gospel. The people who do absolutely crush it just take the frameworks and they take the scripts and then they just go off on their own little path. And that's how, you know, people just get great results, is they just make a few tweaks here and there. So yeah. So Omar says, I'm in the med spa niche. The LTV of a high ticket med spa product is probably around 6 months. Obviously, I have no way of knowing what product someone buys from a med spa, even if I'm running lead gen ads for a med spa, unless I isolate the high ticket skin treatment and write that in my copy, and also my ad titles on cold emails, and specifically mention increasing sales when I talk to a particular client. With all that said, would $70 per lead I generate them be sensible, or am I pricing myself too low? Omar, that's honestly a question I'm not able to answer because I'm not a med spa owner. Understanding like what to charge per lead for a different industry, there's a lot of variables, and I honestly couldn't give you like a specific answer. The only way you'll know is by presenting that to clients. That's really, I like the idea of the high ticket skin treatment and focusing on that. In fact, Cindy, are you there? Can you hear me? I don't want to sort of call you out here.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. What do you think of that? Because Omar, Cindy's in the med spa niche. Do you think that med spas would pay $70 per lead for like the higher ticket skin treatments, or do you think that's a little bit too much or too less?
Maybe not for a lead, but maybe for appointment. Yeah, it depends on the conversion rate of the consultation.
Cool. How much is the average high ticket skin treatment worth? Is that like a couple grand?
Yeah, like it can go up to like more than 2,000.
Okay. Yeah. So I think you're on the right track. But if you, as Cindy just said, if you can do it like $70 per appointment and $70 per show, then I'd expect they'll probably be fine with it.
Thank you both. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Sarah says, I've got to ask, the new G Suite domain to be bought should have a similar name to the main one, format compared to the same name. Yeah, so like, yeah, it's honestly fine. Sarah, let me show you an example.
Sorry for my stupid questions.
No, they're not stupid. If they were stupid, I'd tell you, don't worry. Like, I mean, I've got a bunch of, hang on, I need to just log out of one account.
It's just since it's the beginning, like before launching the Looms, that I just want to have the right configuration. I don't even know if it makes sense to warm these emails up, or rather just buy them and go. And second, there was also the question of the copy, since I saw that later it comes version 1 and version 2, is because then I should prepare myself based on the following booster copies, or sorry, I just added another question.
Okay, well, we'll answer the first one first.
Mm-hmm.
So in terms of the way I configure them, I mean, like it's pretty simple and straightforward. Is that going to open? No, so it's just like they're all configured the same with the same profile picture. It's just slightly different names. Like there's partners at, which is the same.
I just need to understand the new domain, because I also have configured the one like as called Gmails, but the new domain, so to say, you kind of relate the similar name to the company one and just add a 1, and then you buy that one.
You don't want to add a 1. You could just, like, if your company was exampleagency.com, it would just be example-agency.com. And then you redirect that to the main site. Like, it doesn't have to be like little details like that really don't matter. It could be completely different, but it will help if it's similar to the name of the agency.
Okay.
And then your second question was
about the copy itself, because then later I saw that the tracking should be on copy 1, 3. There was like 3.0, 1.0. So I said, okay, should I have a look probably at the booster copy, or there was some external material that I haven't looked at or went through correctly?
So when if you're looking at someone else's metrics and you can see like copy 3 to script 1, that's explained in the video Fractal Loom Evolution, which walks through our SOP for actually testing new variables. So like when it comes to auditing looms and then redoing them, is I'm like, hey, well, we need to try this new copy, this becomes your version 2, or we need to try this same script but improve your delivery, this becomes version 3 of that.
Okay.
So you don't have to worry about that yet, but you can just watch Fractal and Evolution, and that should help.
All right. Thanks.
Cool, no worries. Ethan says tips for growing following efficiently on Facebook. There's a few ways you can do it. I mean, just sending friend requests every day is the best. Obviously, it's the most direct. What you can do, Ethan, is go to like groups in your niche and write a post that has absolutely no scent of a sales angle in any way, shape, or form, and like make it all inspiring and just tell your story and stuff. Even I'd say like, listen, this is not a post to sell anyone anything. I have no course, I have no service. Like, I just want to share my experience to inspire people. And then what you can do is like, that should amass a good amount of comments and likes. And then Facebook doesn't actually have a limit on how many people you can add if they've liked your post through a group. Now you still want to impose a limit, like 80 to 100 a day, for example. But like growing a Facebook following is just a question of sending a lot of friend requests. There really isn't any other strategy we've seen to do that. You can actually get a VA to log into your Facebook account. They can, like, as long as you approve the login within like 2 minutes of them logging in and they use a VPN, not even a VPN, as long as they like don't fuck around in your account. But I wouldn't get someone, like, I'd get someone in your country to do it basically. So yeah. Cool. Okay. All right. And also, how were your numbers affected when switching to automated Imperium videos? Yeah, we saw appointment booking rate go down by about 30%. Let me see if I can actually find the sheet for this. Hang on. Let's have a look. Okay. So this was yeah, okay. So this was our data, Ethan, for March. So we don't January and February we weren't using my account, so I don't have data for that. Before this, our PRR was probably about 15%, and our appointment booking rate was probably closer to 9%. But these are the metrics we have. This is only 169 videos, but we got an ABR of about 6% and a PRR of about 14 almost. So yeah, and hopping into April, we can see we've got a PRR of 11% and no bookings yet because no follow-ups have been done, of course. But yeah, so Ethan, I wouldn't make the switch yet, mate, because like it only takes like 15-20 seconds per video. So
yeah, I'm not planning on switching. It's more for a client account.
Yeah, it's yeah, I mean, it's useful. Yeah, I mean, you can do it for your clients, like because obviously otherwise they've got to record the videos. So how's the appointment booking going, by the way? Are they still flying in?
Yeah, so I stopped for a week last week, didn't do any. And I started again this Monday. I think I have 6 appointments booked for tomorrow.
Nice, man.
Dude, it's so quick. I feel like I'm doing something like...
It's really direct, isn't it? What's your appointment booking rate again?
Probably still around 25, maybe 28.
25%. You send 4, that means you send 4 messages and book an appointment.
Dude,
Mad, isn't it?
I started posting content. That is good. Like that helps a lot.
Yeah, posting content's useful because like what people will do is when you message them is they'll just go to your profile and check you out. And then like, oh, this guy looks good. Like that's why I do the YouTube thing. I mean, the YouTube thing is great. It kind of just works for everything. So yeah, man, keep it up. 25%.
Same as,
You know, yours.
same as like, yeah. It's like if you message them and you follow up and you follow up and they don't reply, a lot of the times you keep posting content, like they stay in your little thing and then they come back after a while.
Yeah, because like
They see all
the way the
content.
algorithms work organically is you're more likely to see the content of people that you've conversed with, even if it's a one-way conversation.
Yeah.
And like the more messages someone sent you, the more likely you are to see their posts. So it doesn't hurt to just, you know, follow people. So yeah, man, keep it up and see how those 6 calls go tomorrow. Don't stop doing the outreach again. That's naughty. Keep going. Nice one, man.
Thanks, man.
Good stuff. That's the power of the Imperium approach, people, in the cold messaging module. 25% appointment booking rate is extremely rare. But if you can get 10%, then you're doing something right. Dean says, can you share the evergreen LinkedIn videos? I will try and pull one up. Let's have a look. Okay. Let's have a look. Okay, so here's an example. Hey, it's Charlie. Thank you for accepting my request. I do appreciate it. I see you also have an agency, so I thought we could connect. I have a quick question. I'm wondering if you're open to new ways of getting clients. I ask because I have an opportunity that could help you get more clients, but I don't want to pitch you anything without your permission, so I won't. But if you're open to receiving some information about how it works, then just send me a thumbs up and I'll send something over. If not, no problem. Cheers. So you can see, like, the point of that is not to seem professional or salesy. Like, it's almost as if like you have that video, the whole purpose of it, the whole philosophy of it is literally to look like you've just picked your phone up after connecting with them and you just shot a quick video for them. So like, I don't know, like I receive videos from people sometimes and they're all like suited up and they're like, hey Charlie, how's it going, man? I'm like, dude, you haven't like, that doesn't work. You did like it might better than some cold messaging, but you have to be like, it is literally as if you've just picked up your phone. It's like, hey man, how's it going? I saw you added me. I thought I'd record a quick video to say hi. Don't know if you're open to ideas to get clients or not, but I can shoot you something over. That's the secret, is it has to look like purposefully unprofessional and just purposefully like you just picked it up. So that's the thing for you, Dean. Hussein has a quick question. Hussein, if you could type the question out for me, that'd be great. And then I'll sort of answer that one once it's typed out.
Because I think if I type out, it would be a bit long. So I thought I would just very quickly ask.
Okay, sure.
So yeah, you know, in the beginning, where would you like the market research? I done some market research. I got on a call with like 3 e-com founders, and I just asked them a few questions. Just a few questions, and then in the end, I asked them like, "What are you guys currently doing to get new customers and stuff like that?" And they're like, "Oh, Facebook ads," but we're trying to start pivot from that and diversify our marketing channel into something else. Like, and I asked them, "What do you think about TikTok ads?" Like, we don't have experience in it, but we're very excited about it. It looks interesting. So with that being said, should I just be straight up and upfront in my outreach and just say we run TikTok ads instead of making it more vague? I know you said that I can test it, but when should I test it? After the 200 or later on, or when?
Well, I mean, the opinion of 3 people isn't going to be enough for us to like if you look at focus groups and how like companies use focus groups, they rely on the opinions of like, you know, hundreds of people before making decisions.
Yeah,
because
it's just a
otherwise
bit hard to get founders on a call. It's quite hard to get. I tried, but those are the only ones who are up for it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, I would just do, it's the testing thing. Do your 200, get your follow-ups done, get your deliverability sorted, make sure that's all good, and then run with another 200, but instead just say TikTok and then just see what the difference is. And the secret is just to increase your volume. Do like 40 a day, and then you can test that stuff in like 2 weeks and know within 3 really after your follow-ups. That's the order in which I would do it. It's tempting to sort of like, a lot of people, I'm glad you asked me this, because a lot of people make business decisions based off like what one person has said to them or a couple of people. So like, it's very common for agency owners to like send cold emails for like a week, and then someone responds and says like, oh, like this approach is okay, but you might have been better saying this. And then they change their like entire approach because of one person's opinion when the system was actually working. Like, or if you're doing a sales call and someone's like, oh, I actually didn't like the questions that you've asked, then you just make changes because of one person's. So yeah, basically, mate, I would just rely on data, do your 200 standard with the systems that we've got, and then just try 200 saying you do TikTok ads and just see how it performs. I'll try and make it sound fancy though, just be like using a brand new proprietary TikTok strategy that you've never seen before. Don't just say we do TikTok ads. That make it sound a bit sexy. So yeah.
Cool. Awesome, Charlie.
Awesome, man. Jamie, did you guys ever go over buying an Instagram account? Thinking I need a personal account for Insta outreach because the messages I'm sending from my business page are not being seen at all. Also, I don't want to create a brand new personal with 0 followers that might not look too impressive. Thoughts? Well, the way I actually solve this, I know you can buy Instagram accounts through bulk accounts buy. But the way I actually solved this, Jamie, is I just approached some friends and family and said, hey, do you have an old Instagram account that I can buy for like 20 quid? And then they were like, sure. And I was like, okay, cool. And like, I remember I bought one off my friend's brother, and like it was a BMXing account that he had from like 3 years ago and hadn't even touched it, and it had like 500 followers or something. So I just bought that, changed the name, changed the emails, deleted all the content, refreshed all the content with new stuff. And that's actually how I got like 6 Instagram accounts to do outreach from. And yeah, when you're doing Instagram outreach, it needs to be a personal account because businesses don't respond to businesses, they respond to people, right? So yeah, Jamie, I mean, the easiest place to look is just at your friends and families and just say, hey, do you have an old Instagram account?
Did you just name those accounts after yourself and fill them up with just a bunch of results and then just start doing outreach pretty much straight away?
Yeah, so I just I named them like Charlie Morgan 8, Charlie Morgan 88, Charlie.Morgan 8, Charlie.Morgan 88. And then just like some results, and then like the bio was like the mission statement, and then that's it. Chuck a fire emoji in your bio if you're feeling fancy, but other than that, like, yeah, it's pretty straightforward.
All right, thanks, man.
Nice one, man. Cool. Just trying to think of anything else about Instagram account configuration. The other thing is to have those, you get those little featured circles. I don't know what they're called because I don't use Instagram anymore, but you can have like highlights or something.
Yeah, I think it's highlights. Yeah,
like you can have highlights for, like you can have your posts, but you can also have highlights for like results and like other stuff like testimonials.
I'm thinking of just getting, like a VA to basically take all the stuff that's on my business account and just put it on one of these clear ones, just the result stuff, and then just start going again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll do it. I think the problem is like you don't really want to have, like, when you're doing outreach anywhere, you really want to try and avoid words like agency and media and marketing and digital, because like those words are so associated with obviously people just sending cold DMs and outreach. So I wouldn't be surprised, Jamie, if it's like they see red pick media and they're like, media, oh, that looks familiar. And then they just sort of like categorize that message into the box of cold outreaches I don't reply to because of one word. It's the same with like how if someone sends you a Facebook DM, like, I see we're in the same group. Yeah. Like that statement just immediately just puts them, like, you don't even have any conscious thought. It's just like your brain's like in the box, not replying, goodbye. So you want to pattern interrupt a little bit. I see Luca's got his mic unmuted. He's probably got something to add. If you have, mate.
Yeah. I've actually got this down to a little bit of a T now, Instagram. What I do is I just buy, I just bought 10 accounts. I think it's like $16 just because it's hard making the emails to get it all set up. Buy them, change the names. It's $4.92 to buy 500 followers. On a normal account, I have 10 posts that I basically just upload one after the other. So it looks like a real account. So you've got 500 followers, you've got 10 posts, and just do it like that. And I found that is actually I get a much higher response rate from doing that than just sending it off. But I do keep it that, like I don't make the post long, drawn out. They're like 4 posts of the same sort of thing, 4 family posts, not my family, just literally Google family, and then just like that. So it makes it look like it's a semi-personal / professional account.
Yeah, I think that's also the key, is to like have this sort of like non-binary stance where it's like you post business results, but then you also chuck in the odd picture of yourself on holiday drinking some wine or something. Like it depends. Yeah.
Sorry guys to interrupt. Can I ask a quick question on that?
Sure.
So what if someone actually goes ahead and searches your name when they see like all these different accounts with like the same pictures and everything? Is that not a bit weird?
Well, most people won't search your name. It's like sure they might, but then it's quite rare for someone to actually just go into Instagram and search the name. Like if you're talking to someone in, like, how many times have you been pitched by someone on social media and then gone and searched their name? Like, yeah, sure, you might go and look for them on LinkedIn, you might go and look for them on Facebook, but I don't think it's very common for people to actually to go and search it. And if they do, it's like one person out of maybe every 100 you reach out to, so it's negligible. If that became a pattern where people kept saying, hey, like, I've searched you and you've got like 10 accounts, you weirdo, then sure, but I don't think that happens very often. And if it does, you can just say, oh, well, I'm sure you can understand Instagram has a limit on how many cool brands I can reach out to. Yeah, but I wouldn't worry too much about that, Rose.
Yeah, cool. So Luca, do you have like the same pictures in every account?
Yeah, the same posts and same pictures.
All right. Cool, thanks guys.
I've never even thought about that.
Someone is on Instagram right now looking up Luca and they're going to find like...
No, they're all under so they're under my appointment setters names, just because it's a little bit more appropriate, like when they're there taking the video or when they're there sending a message, it's under their accounts.
Yeah, that's just make sure that make sure your agency is somewhere, because
yeah. It's their first name / housed or _ housed.
Yeah, that's cool. That's good. Nice one, man. Demon. Where did I get to here? Sarah, any techniques? Actually, what we're going to do, guys, is just take a real quick 2-minute break. As you guys, who hasn't joined us, you're aware I drink probably a lot of water, so I will be back in about 2 minutes after. You guys can either just sit in silence, or anyone wants to ask Luke or anything about his Instagram stuff, go for it. But I'll be back in like 2 minutes.
I just want to shout out Luca for mentioning the Imperium approach last week, because I hadn't gotten to that module yet. So I kind of skipped forward, and I can already tell that's going to be huge for me. So thanks.
Yeah, I can agree on that. I asked the same, like, what is this Imperium approach? So yeah, thank you, Luca. You are the GOAT as always.
Now it's my turn. What is the Imperium approach?
Yeah, what is the Imperium approach?
It's the cold messaging in the organic outreach module.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a couple sections on it if you dig in there.
Yeah, I watched the Loom Alchemy, and then I just started sending Looms, and I just keep the whole program. And yeah, last call I actually found out about this Imperium approach. All
right. Good to know.
Yeah, because the program is like complex.
Yeah, massive.
So yeah, and on the first video, I believe Bo is always emphasizing, as soon as you learn the strategy, just start with outreach. And then I just forgot about the whole program. So yeah, hello, Chuck.
Okay. So, hi guys, welcome back. There we
Yep.
are, quick 30-second interlude. Sarah, I saw you ask the question, any techniques on getting the info on day-to-day and pain point of the niche of the market, real estate suggest, I'm asking suggestions on hooks for Facebook posts or eventually calls with them. I'm not quite sure I understand. So are you asking how to properly conduct market research and like understand them?
Actually, I did my own, but kind of to affirm that from an interview or something. Like, if they
the best thing to do.
Yeah.
There's two ways you can do this. First way is to go to real estate agents or the business owners and say, hey, I'm thinking about becoming a real estate agent. You look like you're doing a really good job. Is there any chance I can pick your brain for 15 minutes to see if this is the right career for me? Build someone's ego like that and you will get them on the phone. The second way is to contact them and say that you're a student and you're doing a paper on like the life of a real estate agent because it's what you would like to do in the future, and you're wondering if you can borrow them for 50 minutes to ask them some questions. You can just ask. Yeah, those are the two ways I would do it.
Thanks.
Cool. Dean says we send cold outreach from a personal Gmail email. We've received multiple responses from people saying it's not professional. Do you have a solution? So yeah, this is like, we get this question a lot. Like Dean, if I'm not mistaken, your Loom view rate is around 44%. Your appointment booking rate is around 10%. I wouldn't fuck with the system for the sake of a few people saying it's unprofessional. It's very easy to focus on the negative, right? And to wonder if like, oh shit, are we actually coming across as unprofessional? But you should let the data decide. And if I'm not mistaken, obviously you've gone from, well, you've basically 3x your revenue in the last like 2-3 months of working with us. So I wouldn't really worry too much about that, mate. Like, yeah, we get responses like, you know, maybe every 100 we send, one person or two people will be like, oh, like, why are you sending from a Gmail account? I don't trust this. But then we also book like 5 to 6 appointments a day, doing 100 a day. So it's just one of those trade-offs you have to make, and I wouldn't worry about it too much. But if it's a really common theme, you can get a G Suite account, but it's kind of just not worth doing because it's so negligible, if that makes sense.
Yeah, makes sense. Thanks.
Like if you log the metrics, like you could say like you've got a not professional rate of 0.5% and then your appointment booking rate is like 5%. So it's like, well, if what we're doing is working, then we're not going to worry too much about it. So yeah.
Thanks, man.
No worries, bro. Lana says, I was wondering, on the last call, I asked exactly what appointment setters are doing, meaning do they implement their own strategies to book you appointments, or do they learn your system? And I got an answer that you teach them your approach. Most of appointment setters are offering, for example, 10 booked appointments per week. So if you're doing outreach yourself and book 3 to 4 appointments per week, how is it possible for them to book 10 appointments per week if they're using your outreach process? Well, so like most of them can't actually get you 10 appointments a week. That's the truth. In fact, we've tried for Imperium, we've tried 5 done for you appointment setters and none of them got any results. So I just wouldn't even listen to their claims. Like it makes more sense to have control over the process, and it makes more sense to just provide them with a system that's working, even if they think they can do something. Like the key to getting good appointment setters is to not hire people who have experience with appointment setting. That might sound counterintuitive, but most people who are trained to do appointment setting are fucking shit at it, right? And so you actually want people who are blank slates because you want to mold them into who you need them to be to get the result. It's kind of like sales reps, right? So Jack, our sales rep at the moment for Imperium, started with us on the 9th of March, and he's got a 31% conversion rate. Signed just over 100 grand in business last month, in the last like 3 weeks. Before working with us, Jack had never done sales before. I think he'd done like 20 sales calls for an agency. But Jack was a blank slate, and we saw great talent in him in terms of his personality, extroversion, conviction in product. And so we gave him the system, and because he had all those skills and characteristics, he was able to perform really well. before Jack, we tried a sales rep who had 30 years of experience selling B2B high ticket deals. And the dude got no meetings. Sorry, he got meetings, but he got no sales at all because he was using what he thought was right, which wasn't working for the industry in which we're in. So like, you have to find this balance between talent, but also them having the humility, because what I learned with the previous sales rep, and we've had this with setters as well, is it's like they want to do things their way. And even if you give them a different way, they just won't listen. So like, you need to find those things. So yeah, Lana, to answer your question, I wouldn't even pay attention to people's claims. Find a friend or a person you trust who's really extroverted, has charisma and wants money, and just give them a proven system. It's not a hard thing to learn. You just need people who have that sort of ability to just keep the energy high and book appointments.
Yeah, I'm not even searching for appointment setter, but I was always wondering, they always have this, I don't know, promises like 30 appointments per week. So yeah, this is just, out of curiosity.
Yeah, I mean, like, I get pitched all the time. Like, I sometimes for fun. I mean, the best thing to do with appointment setters, like the only reason I'd ever hire an appointment setter is if they actually were able to get me on an appointment. So like one of our new appointment setters, she's called Bianca. She's awesome. I hired her. She's just come on board. She just started doing outreach for us. The reason I hired her is because she reached out to me trying to set an appointment, and her approach was actually really good, and it made me laugh. And she was like, I didn't book the appointment because I didn't need the service, but she actually got me to respond. And when I asked her how like where that system came from, she said she came up with it herself. So I was like, how much are you being paid in your current role? All right, I'll pay you like double, which is actually what we do. Like we pay like $50 per appointment. She was being paid like less than that. So you like, if you want to hire a setter, only ever hire a setter that can get you on a call, because what's going to happen is when they handle your account, they're going to use the same system they use to book you. So if they can't book you, then they won't be able to book anyone for you. So that's how I vet people through it. It's just like, someone's like, oh yeah, like they email me and they're like, oh Charlie, I can get you like, 15 appointments a week with cold email, and then they end up in my spam. And I'm just like, well, if you can't even get to my inbox, you're not even coming anywhere near my email accounts, right? It's the same with like sales reps, right? So one of my favorite things to do with sales reps is to say, okay, like, we'll do like an informal interview, and then I'll say, look, we're going to have a second round of interviews, but I want you to conduct a sales call on me, trying to convince me why I should work with you. And so I've had reps before. You can it's an easy way to test them out, because then like the best reps and the ones that are most like, we've had this for NorthFlow, is they'll be like, okay, so like we'll hop on and it'll be like a discovery call. They're trying to sell me, and they'll start and they'll be like, all right, Charlie, well, I'm going to ask you some questions, because obviously we're here to see if we're a fit. So I'll start with some questions. If it sounds like I can actually help you, I'll explain and then that's what I'm looking for, because then I know they already understand the premise of what a good sales call looks like. Whereas the reps that are awful, you hop on the call, they're like, right, Charlie, we're really gonna help you out here. It's gonna be amazing. They just word vomit for like 20 minutes, and then they're like, so what do you think? I'm like, fucking hell. So that's like the best way to vet skill-based roles, is to actually have them demonstrate their skill. Appointment setters will do that up front. Sales reps, you have to sort of get them to do it. So yeah, same with media buying. Just like, here's the client's products, show me what you got. Like I did this at the moment with, here's another example of this, and then we'll move on. If I just pull up Messenger here. We got, where's this guy? Dun, 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 dun. So this guy wants to do thumbnails for me, right? And he just started with this. He was like, here are some samples. What do you think of this thumbnail? And I was like, all right, here's a picture of me, whack a thumbnail. And then he's just made this. And that actually looks quite cool. So like, this is just hiring what I want. It's just get examples of people's work. So yeah, slight tangent, but we're all good. So let's, yeah, it's reverse engineering, exactly. Just achieve the result through the opposite. I could talk about inversion for hours. Where do we buy the Instagram pages from? I will link it here. So this website, it looks like the kind of website that you're going to get your kidney stolen if you put your address in, but A, you don't have to put your address in, and B, it's honestly fine. We've been using it for a long time. You have to WhatsApp them if you want to pay through PayPal, I think. Otherwise, they want Bitcoin, but yeah, it's good. Hey, Aurelian says, hey, Charlie, warming up my emails in GWarm. I am a few days in and already ended up in spam. Is this normal? I would first of all recommend using GMass over GWarm because we've had, well, actually you can use either, but I think GMass is just a little bit better at the moment. But yeah, it's normal to land in spam for a while, but I would use GMass instead.
Sorry, I didn't word that correctly. I'm using GMass.
Oh yeah, in that case it's fine. Like it's like what you'll see if you over time. I haven't got the graphs because Bo has the login for GMass. But yeah, it's honestly, I wouldn't worry about that for a while. Like if it's consistent after a few weeks, then yes, but it's entirely normal to just have the odd couple going to spam for the first week or two.
Yeah, I remember Bo mentioning that, so I just wanted to confirm it. Thank you.
Yeah, don't panic, man. Okay, I don't see any other questions in the chat. And we've got 25 people in the call, so there must be one laying around. We can end it early here, but I'm more than happy to keep going. Yeah, go for it, Tom.
Do I send my Loom script into the group to review? I'm still half writing it, but
yeah. So once you've got your copy and your script, just put the copy and then a script and an example of you saying that script in the group, and I'll just review it for you.
Okay, I'm using my sister, so.
Okay.
Well, we found, by the way, we found with data that a woman unfortunately gets more replies via cold email than using myself. So
we've also found that with appointment setters, that female appointment setters in male-dominated markets get more meetings, which is sad, but it's just data. But like it's not like the result isn't significant, but it is. Yeah, it's there. So.
Yeah,
I don't know why that happens. Like, I mean, I understand why it happens in like the agency market because it's literally like 95% male, and they're all like young dudes. But I think that like with cold email, if you're a woman, like it's just like a softer sort of approach. I don't know, but yeah, that's fine, man. Just pop it in the
yeah, don't be confused when you hear the voice.
Yeah, I was gonna say, man, it's like, you sure you're all right? You ill? It's like, yeah, no, it's all good, bro. It's all good. It's all good.
All right, cheers. Well, yeah, I've got my emails all warming up, so.
Cool. Yeah, when you've done it, just send it in. Nor says, Charlie, quick question on starting a YouTube channel for our niche. Would we brand the channel under our own name or agency name? Well, you should do it under your own name because it's a long-term play, right? And like people are watching you, they're not watching your agency. So you can mention that you run your company and you can say the company name at the beginning of a video. So you achieve the same result through brand awareness. However, you really do want it to be under your name because people watch people, they don't watch companies.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Sure, go on though.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, because I think it's the same with like Instagram, for example, where people don't really follow the agency pages. They more prefer to follow the actual person.
I don't understand agencies that even bother with Instagram content.
Yeah,
it's just so pointless. Like nobody, you go on and you see agencies posting stuff like, here's the top 3 trends. Like nobody reads it.
Yeah,
like it really isn't. And then if you're on a sales call and then the client's like, I checked you on Instagram, I couldn't find you. You say you're a social media marketing agency. And you're like, well, look, the reason we're not on Instagram is because our clients are very rarely on Instagram. So our attentions are put elsewhere. Plus, I'd rather spend all my time getting you results than actually just writing up some crappy Instagram posts that nobody's going to read. Like, would you rather work with an agency that puts all their time and attention onto their product and their service, or an agency that puts all the time onto the perception of being good? Do you want to work with someone who's good or actually pretends to be good?
Yeah, I've got an agency page, but there's literally nothing on it. Like the content I did produce is under my page, and I found that's more beneficial. But even with what you said, it's true. It's like with the content itself, you don't have to like prioritize it. I haven't even made a content.
I would delete
like
the
a video
page
for ages.
I would just delete the page because otherwise it does the opposite of what you're trying to do. because then people go on and there's nothing, and they're like,
Okay, yeah,
is
yeah,
this company still running? Like, so I would just remove it.
yeah.
I was also going to talk to you, Nor. I had an idea. I literally woke up at like 5 a.m. this morning with a random idea for YouTube, like content generation. Have you thought through like, because I have this question a lot from people, usually like on the channel. It's like, how do you produce 3 videos a week? Like, how do you come up with the ideas? Have you thought through like what your plan might be for coming up with ideas?
Yeah, I was just so like I made some really like short videos on my Instagram anyway, the 1 minute ones. I was just thinking of expanding on sort of key topics like, for example, how to handle ads post iOS, how to look into your custom avatars and all these things. So it's really basic, to be honest. I haven't really thought of it that much, but I've already got a basic idea of how I want to lay it out.
I was going to say, because like what I realized when I woke up stupidly early in the morning is it's like, by the way, sometimes when you guys like, if you think through a problem for long enough, like sometimes the answer will come to you at the most random times.
Yeah.
But like what I realized with people who start YouTube channels, if you don't know what to record videos on, it's a sign that your service delivery isn't good enough.
Yeah.
Because mastery denotes knowledge, which denotes content ideas. So like YouTube actually becomes a vehicle for you to improve your knowledge of your niche and their problem. So it's like if you run a YouTube channel, you're accountable for 2 videos a week because that's what you do. You know, you say I release 2 videos like this every week, you have to do it. Then what happens is it forces you to learn. And then you basically just go and find something about your niche or something about the problem or something cool about the service, and then you learn something new. And then the best way to actually solidify information and truly learn it is to teach it. So then you have this added benefit of then making a video on it, typing a description, figuring out how to write a title that's compelling. And then like YouTube actually becomes a vehicle for you to improve your knowledge. And because everyone's like, I can't start a YouTube channel because I'm not an expert yet. It's like, well, you actually become an expert through doing YouTube. So it's like one of these inverted things again. So it's, I just want to add that.
I think that's like obviously another benefit of getting your own hands dirty before you pass the, I don't know, quote unquote shit to someone else. So it's like, for me, luckily, I've been handling everything myself.
Yeah.
Like even the appointment setting side, sales, ads, service delivery, client communications, just so that I can fully master it. And once I master it, I can hand it off because I can sleep healthy at night, knowing that my business is on me. So if someone does drop out, I can step in and handle everything. And I'm sure you and Bo feel the exact same because you guys know how to set appointments. So if an appointment setter, leaves, you can step in. And I think like that's the benefit with YouTube as well. Like you said, it's 10 times easier to come up with content because you actually know what to talk about. But yeah, I had like a content plan for Instagram, so I'll just follow that but apply it to YouTube in a bit more detail.
Like it's all overlapped because so the sales calls and the appointment booking thing will help you write compelling titles, for example, because you know what your niche wants to hear, you know what their problems are, you know how to resonate with them. The only way you gain that information is by doing the appointment setting yourself and doing the sales calls yourself.
Yes.
And then like with the service delivery, it's like, you know what problems are going to happen and what problems are going to face. And you know, like through working with shit media buyers, like what the issues are the market's probably faced, and like, you know, how to pick an agency to work with would be a good one, for example. Being screwed over by an agency before, watch this. And like, you know, it gives you that depth of knowledge. And I always, my strongest encouragement for anyone starting is to just do everything yourself to begin with. Forget the whole living on a beach in Bali for like at least 18 months.
Yeah, 100%. I think, the model, I was going to ask like your thoughts, like, I seen it do well last year, and I think this will be like my last question here. So this model of starting something brand new, but then hiring someone to deliver the service whilst you don't know anything about it, and just scaling up to ridiculous figures. Like, what's your thoughts on that? Because I've seen people succeed with it, but I've also seen people just crash as well.
Well, it's luck.
Yeah.
Because you might get an incredible media buyer, then it's fine. But in my experience, extremely good people are only attracted to extremely good businesses.
Yeah.
So if you want, like, this is the thing, like people are like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get a sales rep and then I'm gonna have a media buyer, they're gonna be amazing. And it's like, well, you can only get incredibly talented sales reps if you can provide them a shitload of calls and a really strong level of commission. And the only thing that really makes a good sales rep is strong conviction in what you're selling. And if you don't have that, then you're fucked. So like, it's balancing the short and the long term, because initially in the early days where you haven't got any idea as to how to deliver results, it can make sense to hire a media buyer or hire a white label company to do the work for you in that short period of time. However, you should be working like 5-6 hours a day on your service delivery, on your skills, and learning how to do it yourself. Not so you can take over from the person, but just so you can actually do the job better than them, so you can manage them. You can't manage someone if you can't do their job better than them.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that's the thing. It's like, you can because the corporate world does it all the time, but the corporate world moves slowly and on horrible profit margins. So people are like, yeah, I'm making nothing. I want 10K a month, and all I'm gonna do is like have a setter, a rep, and a media buyer and a CSM, and they're all gonna run it for me. It's gonna be great. But it's like, reality check. What happens if the rep can't handle an objection?
Yeah.
What happens if the media buyer, like, the ROAS drops? What happens if the setter suddenly has like a deliverability issue on the email? What happens if the CSM doesn't, like, then the problems arise and you can't solve them. They come to you because you're the boss, you're responsible for the problems.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not a good long-term strategy.
Yeah, no, totally. And I'm 100% with you and Bo with how you guys say, like, do it yourself, then hand it off. So yeah, appreciate that. By the way, apologies if there was a noise coming. I had a boxing promo in the background. So
That's all good, man. No, you're all good. You're all good. No problem. Cool. Okay, what have we got? Martin, Charlie, what's your opinion on keeping your head down for 12 months and then only start going on vacations when you're hitting like 20K a month? Like, instead of hitting 10K a month, going on a vacation and coming back to do outreach after 1 or 2 months? That's a really good question. I don't think the way I've done it isn't healthy. And I wouldn't recommend the way I did it to anyone, because it's not very nice to do. Basically, the way we, so okay, so if it with Imperium, for example, in the last 12 months, I think I've had 10 days off. I'm actually ironically going on holiday on the 16th of April for a week. So that's like the first proper, but I went to Greece, like to the best time. Okay. So the way to do it, mate, is like, keep your head down for as long as you can.
Yeah.
But you have biological limits. You have physical and psychological thresholds that you cannot bypass without really doing some damage to yourself. It helps to know what those are and where you can take yourself to, because then you know what to avoid. It's very good information to have. But like, I really like the sort of, like, the way I structure my years, for example, is it's like, winter is grind, like really hard grind, because like winter and usually spring as well, usually up until around like the end of May. So usually from around September to the end of May, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May, for like 9 months of the year, I'm like a pregnant woman, right? I'm like building something, giving birth to something, right, those 9 months. But like, I'll lock in, and then usually like June, July, and August, I take my feet off the gas a bit. I'll still work, but like, I won't be recording like a demon through those months. And I find that's what works for me, because like, we usually find that the slowest periods of commerce in B2B is July and August, because that's when the Americans have their holidays. And so like, Bo and I always reserve holidays for August. The other benefit is obviously I have a partner. Bo has me, I have Bo. So if we take weeks off, it's fine. But like, yes, the answer is I usually do that. Like, I didn't, when I was building my first agency and eventually NorthFlow, I don't think I actually took a holiday for like 2.5 years, but it was horrible. Like, I don't regret it, but at the time, like, it really fucked me up. So just be careful.
Yeah, no, I hear you. just because like I think it's stemming from like I just see like, you know, other fellow agency owners maybe like hit a new revenue goal or something like that. And then like the next story I see is them in like a different country or doing something amazing. And I'm like, why not keep the momentum going? You know,
Yeah, I
why
think
not?
that's like, well, the people don't, okay, so the interesting thing as to why that happens is people have a goal, which is like 10 grand a month.
Mhm.
The reason they have that goal is to accomplish some sort of lifestyle that gratifies a subconscious desire, which
Yeah.
could be proving to their friends they could do it, proving to their dad they could do it, trying to get that girl back. Like there's all these subconscious reasons as to why we want 10 grand a month. We don't want
Yeah.
10 grand a month. We want what 10 grand a month satisfies us unconsciously through. What happens is they hit 10K, the unconscious drive is no longer there, and then they try. So this happened to me. I wanted to, like when my first year, I wanted £8,334 a month, because you times that by 12, that's 100,000 a year. The second I hit that basically to a T, I hit like £8,400. And the second I hit that, the next month I went interrailing for like 2 months, 3 months. I lost all my clients and came back. I had to start again because I was like, yeah, I've got this lifestyle. I've got this, like I can do it. And then like that's not how business works. Like you have to build systems to afford time off, right? It's the life we choose. But yeah, it is pretty common for, you have to kind of get that shit out your system to realize it was a terrible idea.
Yeah.
So, like, you know, but like there's a balance where like you don't need 10 grand a month to have like a decent free life.
Yeah, especially here in Namibia as well. It's like,
dude, you need
if
like
I get to like
$1,000 a
6K,
month.
yeah, even like, yeah, like like 5-6K, like I'm top one, not even top one, like top 0.1%.
Well, that's like
food,
Ketu Lenape.
Yeah.
In South Africa, obviously the rand is a very weak currency. And when
it's actually tied to the Namibian dollar, so like we have the same currency.
You guys are quite close, aren't you? And when Ketu started, he was making like $1,000 a month, and then he started making 15 grand a month. And like, dude, if you make like 15 grand a month in South Africa, you're like royalty.
Yeah, definitely.
That's like mad. So yeah, so like take breaks, man. Like take breaks, little and often, keep yourself refreshed, because like what happened to me is if you keep working and working and working and working without taking a break, you stop liking work. And I also find my biggest and most powerful breakthroughs in terms of my mindset and the business is when I've had time off and I haven't worked at all, because you always come back with a fresh perspective. But it's very difficult to beat someone that's willing to spend 12 months locked in a room, which is what Bo and I did with Imperium. Like we were like, right, we're building Imperium. We want to hit, 200K a month as soon as possible, which is where we are now. And all we did, and we're still doing it now, just like 18 months, I literally probably spend about 23 hours a day in this room. Like, minus sleep.
So you guys hit 200K a month?
Yeah, in March we did 195K in lifetime value.
Jeez. I mean, like the thing is with you guys, it's like, I mean, not to like shit on any other people, but like I would have seen it everywhere right now, probably on Facebook, like Stripe.
Yeah,
Like,
I really,
like,
I really, really, really hate having to make YouTube videos and putting how much I make in the title. I really hate it, because like I don't like it. It doesn't sit well with me. I don't like flex culture. I don't like envy culture. I don't like it, but it gets clicks and it gets views and it gets comments. But like, in March we signed 27. So we didn't do, that's not in cash collected, but I'm being transparency. I think our Stripe, we probably did about like, I think in actual revenue, probably about 80K, 90K. But in lifetime value, we signed 27 clients at 6,900, which is about 196,000. And like this month, we probably won't do that much. It'll probably be a bit less, like 150 probably. I mean, yesterday we signed 4 clients. It's 28K yesterday. But like, I really don't like, I know what you mean. Like, you see it all over Facebook, it's all over the stories. I don't like that. I'd rather just focus on value. Sometimes I'll just drop it as a subtlety, like in video. Like, it's the narcissism. Like I'll
Yeah,
just be like, oh yeah, so our coaching business Imperium, I think we did like 195K last month. But it does help with the authority, but I'd rather people watch my videos and follow me because I can help them solve a problem, not because I make loads of money.
Yeah, I hear
Because
you.
that's what most people do. And
So like, before we move on to Noah's question, like this thing of ego and pride. I mean, it's something I've seen a lot of guys my age and a lot of just men in general fight with, and I think mine is very strong on the learning side in terms of that. I don't know, I have this thing where I always want to create like, or be like the guy who created the system, or be the guy who found who cracked the system, or be the guy who knew this first piece of information. And like, it's like, so that leads me to one being like, not wanting to learn from like guys who are big in the space, even though like I know it's beneficial, but it's like an ego and pride thing for some reason. I don't know if you've ever like gone through that and like how to
I mean, like, it's very dangerous to think you know everything.
Exactly.
Like it's like
it's killer. Yeah,
it's really dangerous because I've had this before where like, so for example, like sometimes I'll see a YouTube recommended video, someone talking about like how to get clients on LinkedIn. I'll be like, oh, I already know that. I didn't, but it's like, when I catch myself and I'm like, just because you thought that, we're actually going to force you to watch it, even if you don't get value from it, because I don't want that feedback loop to actually exist. Another example of this is, it doesn't happen anymore, but throughout like probably since 6 months ago for the last 3 years, I have had the urge every single week to go on my personal Instagram account and tell people how much money I'm making. Right, like all the time. Like I don't use Instagram anymore, but like I've been fighting this urge for like a good 2.5 years to go on Instagram and be like, post my Stripe screenshots and be like, 50 grand this month, 100. But like I've resisted the urge for like 2 to 3 years, and that narcissistic tendency has actually gone away. Like it occurred to me literally like I think probably about 3 days ago that I haven't thought about posting my success to Instagram for a couple of months, and that's like, and you could, that's how if there's a part of you don't like, you don't want it to be there, then the key is just to notice it, but just don't act on it. Like, and it's hard to do that, but like but like because obviously a lot of people in my space are always like posting on Instagram like how much money they're making, and like I realized that like the worst thing you can do is post it, because then what happens is that becomes reinforced. So like you post it and then you get all this gratification. That's also why I hated doing my story video on YouTube, because I don't like to talk about myself. I don't like to tell people how well I've done or how much work I've done or how talented I am. I don't like doing that because it doesn't sit well with me. And I didn't like doing that story video because now it's one of my most viewed videos. I've got like 30 comments, people saying, oh my God, you're amazing. That's so good. And it's, athletes like Michael Jordan say like the secret is you don't read the bad stuff, but you also don't read the good stuff. You know who you are, you know what you're like, you know yourself well enough to critique yourself and figure out when you've done the right thing or the wrong thing. Try to avoid getting external opinions about yourself, because it either inflames your ego and your narcissism, or it inflames your neuroticism, and either way you're going to come out of balance and start making mistakes. So to answer your question with the ego thing, just the fact you're aware of it is incredible, because most people aren't aware of their deficiencies and their flaws because they're too painful. Ironically, like your ego usually doesn't let you know you've got an ego. So like, just like, like start seeking information in your field, and then notice the ego be like, oh, we probably already know this, and then just do it. Then it will go away. Like if you do that for a couple of years, like you think you've got this personality trait or this characteristic, but you can actually get rid of it and change. So
No, thanks a lot, man. It's just been something that's on my mind, and got clarity on it.
Pun not intended. On your mind. Nice, man.
Cool.
No, so for you guys joining us for the first time, what happens with these coaching calls is usually like after an hour, we just start talking about mindset, which is cool. How do you carry on working? I'd bury my head in a beach if I were in your both position. Well, it's a question of goals, Nor. There's nothing wrong with going and burying your head in the beach.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. It's just I'm not working for lifestyle. I'm working for mission.
Yeah.
So like I thought about this, right? And I could do this. I could just start a new business, build a 10K a month passive income without any problem, and then just fuck off. And I could do that, and I could build that within a couple of months now. I got the skills, I got the talent, I got the network, and then I could do that and it would be done. But I'm not working for that reason. I'm working because I like the pain, not because I want to escape it. So it's just a question of your motivations. And I promise you, man, like I've done it. Like the whole go and sit on a beach and do nothing. It's not fulfilling.
Yeah.
There's only so many like cocktails you can drink on a beach before you start getting ill, right? You know, and then like your life becomes this sort of like, sure, the travel's fun and everything, but like you just start getting Stockholm syndrome for the work. You want to go back to it. It's like, and it's always, yeah, I mean, you can try it, but I learned the hard, like that it wasn't for me, like that whole laptop lifestyle thing. Like sometimes it's appealing, like if I'm in like a real difficult situation and things are stressful and it's hard, I'll be like, oh yeah, I could just like, you know, restart. But then I'm like, we tried that and it wasn't very meaningful. So
yeah, I think like for me, like just for full transparency, it's like I'm sort of in the space not because I like it and enjoy it, but more so with what you said, where it's more to do with lifestyle, time freedom. And once I get there, I can focus on things that I do like or discover things I like and so on and so forth. So yeah, there's also something called, I don't know if it's called arrival fallacy or whatever the term's called. So where you get to your desired destination and then you're like, it's what you said, where it's like, this isn't what it made out to be. It's actually
it never is.
Yeah.
It never is. Like the process has to be the goal.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great saying. But yeah, cheers for that, Charlie. And also another thing, following up from Martin, with regards to the Stripe account, I wondered the same thing before I booked in a call with you and Bo, because I was thinking, who are these guys? Because Bo had nothing on his profile. You had YouTube videos. I'm thinking, what are these guys talking about? Because I was so used to seeing the Stripe accounts and all this crap about offers and free trainings and whatnot.
That is exactly why we don't use Stripe screenshots.
Yeah, yeah.
That's that genuinely, like I'm wondering why I've never had this question before of people being like, Charlie, why don't you post your Stripe screenshots? Like it's very intentional. Those purple lines have so much lack of trust because people, like so many people have bought courses, and I won't name any names, you guys know who I'm talking about, but people have bought courses from other gurus, and the main thing that facilitated that decision was the Stripe screenshot.
Yeah.
And so if I use a Stripe screenshot to get someone on a call and I'm using Stripe screenshots to leverage to get people to close, it looks too familiar, like it has the same scent. And people don't make the same mistake twice, so they try not to. So and also like you want to rely on, like if you start, like the long-term strategy for any business or inbound strategy should be to build value, not perception. So there's a great saying from Benjamin Graham, who's Warren Buffett's mentor, about the stock market that says, in the short term, the stock market is a voting machine. In the long term, it's a weighing machine. What he means is that in the short term, perception wins of what people think is popular. But in the long term, like true value is what markets are really weighed on. Same thing applies to YouTube. Like in the short term, people might get more subscribers than me because they're posting Stripe screenshots and all this crap. But like in the long term, like 3, 4, 5 years from now, the channel that produces the most valuable, the most like enriching content that solves the biggest problem will succeed, because the like markets, like algorithms like YouTube, they always in the long term gravitate to value, not perception. And so I'm more than happy taking a short-term hit in terms of subscriber count, and because, you know, producing like stuff. But like if you look at Ty Lopez, for example, the dude relied on perception for 4 or 5 years, and now nobody buys his stuff anymore. But the problem with Ty Lopez is he made so much money, now he goes into investments. He doesn't have to do any online marketing again. But like this happens a lot with one of the main players in our niche, naming no names, you guys probably can guess. 997 courses, they all suck. People buy the high ticket products, they suck. And the reputation is really starting to fall apart from these people. and like the ground under which they're standing is crumbling. And what's happening is channels like, another example is Serge Guattari. He has videos that actually are valuable and helpful, right? And so like him and I are sort of like in this position where we're actually helping people, we're adding value, we're not using too much perception or defect. And the big guys, the perception is just starting to, the cracks are just starting to show. And I know for a fact that like most of those people have like refund rate requests of like 30% on their programs. I've got that on good authority. So
yeah, but no, big congrats to you and Bodo, because I still think about it. I'm thinking, how have these guys scaled without a single Stripe account screenshot? So yeah, it's crazy, man.
Well, it's just like, you know, like I don't want my business to grow because of purple lines. I want my business to grow because I actually solve a problem for people.
Yeah.
And it's like it seems like it's also why we don't run ads, because like we will run ads eventually, but the reason we don't run ads for Imperium is because I want to be forced to grow this business through organic, because you guys are using organic.
Yeah.
Right. So you look at most of these gurus and they run ads and they have personal brands, but you can't build an agency and grow an agency to 10, 20 grand a month with ads and personal branding, because personal branding takes like years and ads take a lot of money. So the reason these guys are so shit at outreach is because they never had to do it themselves. But Bo and I looked at that and we were like, no, fuck that. We could, if we wanted to, just grow Imperium to like 400, 500K a month in the next like 2-3 months through ads, because we've got the money to do it. We know we could generate appointments, so we've got the rep, it would be fine. But that's not the right thing to do in the long term. The right thing to do in the long term is to force ourselves to stay in your pain. And that way we can solve your problem. So when everyone just suddenly has a deliverability problem, all other course communities fall apart. And then we're there like, hey guys, actually we're having the same problem. We fixed it. Here's how to do it. And that's like the bulk accounts buy 6 month aged. Don't use this. Like, so, you know, it's the best long-term strategy is value and pain. Is it the cigar smoker? Funny. Cool, man. So I hope you guys can hear a dog in the background. He's picked the wrong time to start barking, but there's not much I can do about it, so we'll have to tolerate it. Oscar says, do you train lead sourcers on your own lead generation process, or do you just tell them to do their thing and get X amount of leads in a spreadsheet? We don't train lead sources, because most of them are actually, they know what to do, but the key is just to give them extremely strict parameters. So you say company size, location, like niche. Like we also want Instagram accounts, we want Facebook accounts, we want LinkedIn accounts, we want verified emails, we want phone numbers. Like give them the parameters and then they'll just get their job done basically. And order like a sample before, so you can just make sure it's viable.
Perfect.
Good stuff, man. I liked how consistent you're selling looms, by the way. When I checked out your metrics, it's a very good sign, like 50 a day, like throughout the whole of March, man. You keep doing that, you'll be making a shitload of money.
I mean, I'm not right now. I'm down to I went down to 25 for a long time. Now I'm back up to 30 because deliverability on 2 of my email accounts, they went to shit. So my metrics are also not good. So now I'm sending from 3 email accounts while warming up some other. But I'm still, huh?
I should say, just keep doing it every day. That's the main thing.
What my next question is some uncertainty about outreach, because I talked with Isaiah here for like this past weekend, and I keep on sending the looms, and I have an idea in my head that it'll take a lot of tests to get the LVR high enough, at least 25%. But what I really want to know is, how long did it take you guys to get a good LVR? Because it's really a struggle for me right now.
What's your niche? Is it still
it's attorneys, lawyers, yeah.
Okay. What's your offer?
It is right now. I'm actually not doing an offer, or yeah, in my what do I say? In the copy I sent them, I basically went away from the offer. So now I'm just changing out my copy. So I don't even have an offer right now. Yeah, I do have an offer in my copy. It's 1 to 8 clients a month, but I'm switching it from that. So I tested that copy and then I just changed it. So I basically don't have an offer.
Have you tried copy along the lines of like, hey, John, I've got an opportunity to get you upwards of 8 clients per month on a pay on results basis. I don't want to pitch you here without your permission, so here's a video to explain. If you want to chat, let me know. Thanks, Oscar. Have you tried something like that?
I've tested like 11 different scripts, so I probably have tested something like that.
So, I mean, yeah, I'm just thinking like if your LVR is still like low, and you've got good deliverability and you've tested 11 scripts, the issue is probably the product market fit. Now, I know you've got someone else in the same market selling the same products, but I don't know how they're getting their clients. If it's not through cold email, then there might just be the instance that what you're doing isn't resonating with people, man.
Yeah. I'm also sure that it's probably the offer, but I've done a lot of today. I also spent a couple of hours trying to find out, is it really the niche that doesn't have a problem? Am I searching up what are attorneys' problems? And they're saying their problem are getting clients because they cannot. Yeah.
It's like, I mean, it could be multiple things, but like if your deliverability is fine and you've sent like, you know, like you said, you tested 11 different things. If you really have sent like 25 to 50 emails a day for the past like 2 months and it's still not working, I would almost definitely say it's the offer or like the product market fit. Like another example I had was someone who wanted to do like editing for like someone's Instagram reels for coaches. And they were like, no, sorry, that's a different thing. Someone was like, my outreach isn't working. I was like, what's your offer? They were like, oh, I offer, like, I increase people's Instagram followers for coaches. And I was like, well, how many messages have you sent? He was like, a couple thousand. I was like, okay, well, how did you phrase your offer? He's like, oh, I help coaches get to 10,000 followers on Instagram. And I was like, so you've told 2,000 people in your niche that you can get them 10,000 followers on Instagram and none of them have replied. He was like, yes. I was like, what are you doing? Like, you know, there comes a point where it's like, what you're, like I said to him, I was like, the reason you're not getting meetings is because coaches probably just don't care about that. So like what I'm thinking, your copy, if you could just try this, like, right? Like if you send this and you're still not getting a good Loom view rate and your deliverability is fine, then it's just the instance that the niche you're in does not need upwards of 8 new clients per month. Like that's the reality of this situation. So let me just because like what we're doing here is it's like, look, I can get you clients on a pay and results basis. I ain't going to pitch you here. If you want me to explain how it works, watch the Loom. Like if you're not getting 20% LVR from that copy, then either like the emails you're sending just aren't going to the person you're sending them to, like they're going to an assistant, or they're reading it and they're like, actually, I don't need new clients. Like this isn't a problem that I actually face. Try that copy, mate. Do 25 a day for a week. Do your follow-ups, and if it's still not, we can start looking at another offer. Because I know before this, you've also sent like thousands of messages on Instagram as well, LinkedIn as well. And like, if you think about everyone you've reached out to over the past like year, you've probably reached out to like 5,000 attorneys saying like you can help them achieve this goal. And if none of them, then if you're just not getting bites, it's kind of like going fishing and you're fishing in the lake for like 10 hours and you don't get one bite. It's like the bait is just clearly not what they want. So try that copy as a last resort. And if it doesn't work, we'll start to look at your offer again.
Got it. Okay, perfect.
Cool. Okay. And yeah, like obviously you're going to have like the fact you're still persisting in spite of having done it for so long and it hasn't worked is admirable. And you'll find that like in the long term, like putting up with that pain will actually make you more money than getting results because you're building this habit of resilience. So it's actually a good thing. But just keep going, try that copy and just keep, I want you to message me like every few days on the group chat, just updating if it's working or not. And we'll keep working through it. Okay. Cool. Martin says, ecom guys, we need to set up a group chat. Well, I actually will do this. I might, yeah, do you know what I'll do is I'll post a Facebook group post asking everyone in ecom for their phone number so I can make a WhatsApp chat. for those of you in the e-com, would you rather I do it on Facebook, Messenger, or WhatsApp? I know there's only like a couple of people in here in e-com. WhatsApp, Facebook. Oh, well, I'll do a poll. I'll poll it out. So I'll do it. I'll do a poll saying, what would you guys prefer? And then like we'll just whatever has the most polls is what we'll use. And then if you guys could just tag everyone you know in the program who's in the e-com space, I can set that up and arrange that. And like giving out my number. Yeah, nobody has my phone number. Well, very few people have my phone number, so. Okay. Yeah, well, I'll do a poll and then we can just set up. Simone says, mindset is so different for each person. I'm pulling in over 20K a month and still facing imposter syndrome at times that pushes me to want to do more and do programs like this. This conversation is making me think I'm being a bit hard on myself. Yeah, so Simone, like, when you say imposter syndrome and being hard on yourself, what exactly do you mean by that? Because those are very subjective terms. I want to make sure.
Yeah, totally. You know, just that I want to be pulling in more every month. Cost of living is a little different here in the States than what you guys were talking about earlier, but
you're in Texas, aren't you? With zero tax.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, but I live, so again, it's subjective. I live in like downtown Houston, so you go 30 minutes out, it's very different. But yeah, I think, you know, just I think it's also probably tied to I just had a kid, so it's like, you know, wanting to bring in more, wanting to do all that, and feeling recently like I'm in panic mode to get better, but maybe I need to calm it down a bit. Find that happy medium.
What I have learned in the last few months is that you can't chase endless growth because it's not actually healthy. So like the way Bo and I have looked at Imperium is we actually want to put a cap on our revenue. So be like, hey, we actually only want to sign like 20 or 30 clients a month because anything beyond that actually isn't fun. The experience for all other clients is decreased because we're spread too thin. We can't maintain personalized support. And like, I think it's sometimes healthy to actually like be non-binary with your approach to growth, because like the way Bo and I have always been programmed, it's like grow, but that actually creates so much stress because like we realize it's like if you've got a company like this, like a coaching business, and you have to have this sort of intimate support with clients, even if it's on calls like this, there comes a point at which the more you scale it, the less fun you actually have. And I'm in this because I really enjoy it, not because I really care about the money. But Simone, like, yeah, I mean, it's good to reflect on your mindset and to recognize that like if you're being hard on yourself, it's a good thing in the respect that, well, you're being hard on yourself, like it means you want more for yourself, and you've got this sort of, you know, it's the entrepreneurial sort of curse, we're never ever satisfied.
Right.
But then like the best thing to perhaps do for you is obviously you've got your goal, and then just be like, yeah, we want to hit that goal, and then we'll perfect the systems for clients. We'll make sure clients are really happy, and then maybe explore going a bit further. Imposter syndrome is actually a good sign because it's a sign that imposter syndrome is like a very early sign of a very strong shift in identity. So like when I first started signing clients, like I was like, shit, this is imposter syndrome central because I'm not a marketer. I've got no idea what I'm doing. But like, if you can sit with the pain of imposter syndrome for long enough, then you'll no longer feel like an imposter because the identity that you've had to form will solidify. So it's actually quite a good thing that you've got imposter syndrome.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, don't be too hard on yourself, but then also be hard on yourself. It's a hard balance to find. Most people are just
right.
Most people are either like extremely hard on themselves or they don't have any personal responsibility. Finding a balance is very difficult. So I understand that, but just, you know, follow the process, set a goal for yourself and just go after it.
Will do.
Cool. I think the other thing as well is it's like, try to let go of the time frame, because most of the pressure around achieving a goal comes from the time you actually set yourself to achieve it. You know, if you're like, oh, I need to get like an extra 10 grand by May, it creates all this unnecessary stress when it's like,
yeah, I'm already like that with just the program. I wanted to be further along than I am already, but that's
well,
like,
some of the videos are quite long. I do apologize for
yeah.
that. But like, you know, if you just be diligent with it and you're already doing 20 grand a month. You know, you're already sitting in a position where most people wish they were. However, I do completely understand the pain of being stuck. Like, it's just as painful to be stuck at 200 grand a month as it is at 20 grand a month. Like, the same psychological conditions apply. So
Right.
yeah, you kind of have to attack that problem at the root of the cause, which is your psychology, not the actual business itself. So yeah. Oscar says, do you know whether spinning intros is better for deliverability? Hi, hey, hello. I doubt it, but it could potentially be in theory. Quite like that theory, actually. Just changing it from hello, hi, and hey. Because then obviously you're setting a slightly different copy each time. Never tested it because we've never really had to, but you can by all means give it a shot. But it might be one of those details that we're just adding complexity without needing to. Can you use Lemlist to send out every single lead to see if any bounces, or is that stupid? I wouldn't only do that if you've got a really high bounce rate. Otherwise, I wouldn't bother. Because in theory, again, it's a good thing to do, but it's also one of those little details, like you're trying to solve a problem that you may not even have yet. So like if you find your bounce rate is like like really high, like above 5%, 10%, 15%, 20%, then start doing that. But otherwise, I wouldn't worry too much.
Got it. Thank you.
Cool, man. Isaiah says, how do you discover the past self's proclivities and its negative habitual patterns and thinking and bring that to the forefront to achieve a self that is able to achieve what you want? Well, the way to do this, Isaiah, is to look at your behavior. So let me map this out, because this is actually, this has been on my mind through the mindset module. So like if you want to discover yourself, this is quite a good thing to do. So
yes.
Okay, so let me map this through. So we've got, let's zoom in here. Well, let's actually do this. Let's put where you are. Right, so you've got where you are in life, which is your result. Let me just draw a little arrow here. Right, so where you are in life is obviously your current situation. Now, where you are in life is basically the sum of all of the actions you've taken, right? And all of the actions you have taken, oh shit, what is with Myro's arrow system? It's a pain in the arse. All the actions you've taken are the results of all the decisions you've made, right? All the decisions you've made are the result of the thoughts you've had, right? All the thoughts you've had are the result of what you believe. Sorry, I know some of this is capitalized and some of it isn't, but it's just rough. And then what you believe is what you experience. And then what you experience is what you feel times by, what you experience is what happens to you. Well, actually, it's basically just what you're exposed to, plus your emotional reaction to that exposure, right? So the reason I'm doing this, Isaiah, is because we can reverse engineer this. So your question was, how do you discover the past self and its negative habitual patterns and thinking and bring that to the forefront to achieve a self? Which is a very well articulated question. The way to do it is to recognize this pattern. So where you are right now is a result of all the actions you've taken. So what you want to do, if you want to, like, because really the only thing you can really change here is what you believe. The way you change what you believe is by what you experience, which is done through affirmation, right? And the way you do the affirmations is exposing yourself to the information and having an emotional reaction to it in a positive way. However, if you want to figure out like your past self, just look at the actions you take. So for example, maybe you, I don't know, maybe
that I have taken.
Sorry, man?
The action that I have taken in the past, you're saying?
I mean, well, dude, the actions you're taking today to destruct things are a result of your past things. So like human beings, we don't just do one-off actions, we repeat shit. So like what you've done today, it's obvious that's the nature of habit, right? But like we don't just, it's not just like one-off miracle things. Like if you've got destructive actions, they're repeating probably over the course of your life. So you know, every time you end up in a rut or a situation where you feel like, you know, your result, which could be your emotional state or how you feel about yourself, is shit, just look at the actions you've taken. So it's like, oh, yeah, so like or lack of action, right? It could be like I just didn't do any. So like, you know, throughout March, could be like I didn't do enough outreach, for example.
Right.
And then
Exactly.
it's like, well, why did you do that? It's because you made the decision to not do it. Why did you have that decision? It's because you had a thought. And then why did you have that thought? Well, it's because you believed that something wasn't right or you didn't need to do it. And then obviously that's the result of your experience. So you can pull apart yourself and your past self by just like, okay, here's an example, right? So where I am in life right now is doing a coaching call with clients, right? Why am I doing a coaching call with clients? Well, it's because I want to help them. Why do I want to help them? It's because like I've made a decision to help people. Why have I done that? Because I thought it'd be a good idea to do it, because I believe I can help them, because I've experienced what it's like to not have the help, and my emotional reaction to that was negative. So like you can just anything, you can just go vroom, first principle at the bottom, but you just have this little tree where it's like, oh, like why the fuck did I self-sabotage and eat like 2 pizzas and drink like 5 pints of Coca-Cola on Sunday, like, and then chain smoke like 6 cigarettes? Like, why the hell did I do that? And then you'll just find it's because like, well, you made the decision to do it because you have the thought to do it, because it's like part of your sense of identity. It's like, I believe that that's the kind of thing I usually do because it's all I've experienced, because it's how I've reacted to it. So that's how I do it, mate. Sure, Sarah, go for it. Oh, did someone else want to add something, or am I imagining things? I think I'm imagining things. Yeah, Oscar, go for it, mate, on your mindset question.
Yes. So a lot of people, they have problems with outreach, which is very important. I also have problems with outreach. And I talked with Isaiah, as I told you, and I sat down and I really thought, like, why do I have these problems? And I came down to the thing that every time I do outreach, I still do it, but I have that voice in the back of my mind telling me, what if this is all for nothing? And that's very annoying to have that in the back of the mind. What if this doesn't work out? So my question is, and that basically stems from the uncertainty of not being very certain that this will work out. You'll find a way. So my question is, what did you do with that voice if you had it?
Yeah. So the first thing is to recognize that I actually had to do this myself, right? What I realized is I critically thought about why the voice was there. And I realized that doubt is actually pain avoidance in disguise. So like this hit me really heavy, like when I started doing sales and outreach and stuff. Like I realized that voice, that sort of like, what if this is for nothing, or what if it doesn't work? Like that's actually like synonymous to your brain saying this is painful and I don't want to do it. So you don't have a doubt problem, you have a pain avoidance problem. You can't really solve your pain avoidance problem because it's every human being by our biological and physiological and spiritual conditioning. We are pain avoidant animals. Every animal is, right? But the secret is just don't listen to the damn thing. Like it's annoying, it's frustrating, it's annoying, it's there. The easiest way to overcome it is to rationalize it and understand why it's there. It's there because, well, it just translates to things are painful. And if you just keep working and keep working, the other secret, Oscar, is when you have that voice, do more of what you're doing. So like I found this to be a really good strategy for when I was doing outreach for Imperium. Because dude, when we started Imperium, I hadn't done outreach personally myself for NorthFlow for like a year or 18 months because I didn't have to, because we had someone doing it for us. So when I restarted Imperium, I was like, oh fuck, I've got to do this outreach thing again. And, oh, what if they don't want it? And I had these, and then like, as soon as I caught that voice, I was like, okay, I'm going to do like, 10 voice notes today. And then if I had this thought where I don't want to do 10 voice notes, oh, it's too much, I would do like 30. It's the same thing with cold calling. If I did cold calls and then like my brain started to kick in and my character starts to kick in and be like, oh, yeah, we don't want to, you've got 20 calls to do, I don't want to do them. I'd be like, fuck it, you're doing 100 calls. Because what happens eventually is your brain starts to get the message. It's like, shit, if I actually kick up a fuss, this guy will give me more to do, which is more painful. So the way to hack that is to experience the voice, recognize it, but then just basically double your output in spite of the pain. because then eventually your brain learns that if it actually tries to avoid the pain, you'll give it more. And so you invert the conditioning, and then that's how you overcome it. So step number 1 is to recognize it's not doubt, it's pain avoidance. And step number 2 is every time you experience it, double your output. You know, it's like I do this with recording, right? With slides, I'm like, oh fuck, I've got to do slides for the program. I wanted to get done like half the video. I'm like, oh, there's the pain avoidance. We know what happens when we do that, brain. Double the slides. And then I just sit there and do double the slides. So it just conditions your brain to stop being annoying. Does that help?
Got it. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. When you notice doubt, just do like triple the work. Like, oh, I've got a sales call to do. It's like, all right, I'm going to ask every question. I'm going to tag on another difficult question. Just like start like every time your character or your body just tries to stop you from doing something, just like chuck even more at it. Like Sam Evans, like my primary mindset mentor, anyone who's been through his course will know, like he has this phrase where it's like, when your character pulls a fist, pull a knife. When it pulls a knife, pull a gun. So what that means is it's like you're in battle with your character, which is like your body doesn't want to do things that are painful. So when it puts its fists up saying, no, I'm not going to do this, I'm going to fight you, you turn around to it and you're like, here's a fucking knife. If you don't do it, I'll stab you. And then if it's like, I've got a bigger knife than you, then you're like, I've actually got a gun. And then if the character can't, like, if you do that enough, it won't pull anything else. So like the point there, that how that translates, it's like, if it puts its fist up to 10 calls, then you pull a knife with 30 calls. If it pulls a knife with 30 calls, you pull a gun with 50. And the more you do that, the less powerful the voice actually becomes. So when your character pulls a knife, pull a gun.
Got it.
Cool. Lana said, I was annoyed with 25 looms. In the last 2 weeks, I do 50 a day without missing. Yesterday, I was sending them at 1 a.m. and didn't go to sleep with them until I was done with them. That's good. That's very good. Good shit, Lana. Good stuff. Do we have any more mindset questions or anything else? We'll wrap up in a few seconds if not. Doesn't look like it. Just give it a quick second here. Cool. All right, guys. Well, that looks like pretty much everything for today's coaching call. Another very good one. I'm in a mind actually to upload this to YouTube. Been meaning to do that for a while. So if any of you guys would rather I didn't because we discussed something personal, then by all means let me know. But other than that, I think we can call it a day. Cool. All right, guys. Well, I'll hopefully see you all on Friday, and I will talk to you all very soon. Keep working hard, and don't forget to have a break. Take it easy, guys. Talk soon. Cheers, guys.